So let's say you have a system here, right, that might give you a bunch of signals in the same direction, right? So we can see, right? So like that's our first short signal, and then we have, several short signals afterwards, and then, the market trend changes, and so then you get a long signal, and we have a bunch of long signals afterwards. Well, the question is that, this person only wants to get an audio alert on the first signal in the opposite direction, right? So he only wants an audio alert on this signal, right? So he wants to see the racing stripes, but he doesn't want audio alerts whenever he sees a racing stripe that was in the same direction. So basically, he only wants to get an audio alert on the first signal here, right, that I've circled here, and then no audio alerts, but he does want to see the racing stripes, right? So that is not something, built into BloodHound. Basically the audio alerts are supposed to play whenever you get a signal. So we're going to have to do something very kind of customized here and unique in order to get only one audio alert when the signals during the first signal, after they change directions here. Right? So, okay. So we're going to go into the indicator list here, right? And so here's BloodHound on the chart. And so the two settings that we're talking about is play sound, right? So you can play an audio sound when you get a signal from BloodHound. So you can see where you can set a sound for long signals and a sound for short signals. And then we also have the racing stripes, right? So we can see the racing stripes is on by default here. But if you wanted to, you could turn the racing stripes off here if you wanted to. Turn that off. So if you hit apply, there you go. The racing stripes are off, at least on the price panel, right? So down here in BloodHound's, sub panel, right, you still see the signals, right? And you still kind of get the racing stripes, but only within the sub panel of BloodHound here, right? So we can turn those things on and off here. So the customer only wants to hear a sound on the first signal in an opposite direction. Right, so there, let's apply that again. All right. So to get that done, we're going to need to create, right, another logic template, right? So basically, right, this is basically the main logic template that's giving us all of our trade signals. And what we're going to do is make a copy of it, right? So you hit the copy button, make a copy of it, and here we go. So now we can see we have a copy. So let's see here. Let's kind of shorten this name up here. There. Okay, so this copy is going to be for the alerts only, right? So what we're going to need to do is we need to basically, block all of these signals, right? So we need a new logic template that only shows us the first signal in the opposite direction, right? So all these signals here, we need to block those in this next logic template here, right? So I need to block all those. So let's see here. To do this, yeah, there's two ways I can do this. So I can use the signal blocker. This would be the easiest way, right? It's just one node, and I would just need to block for a bunch of bars. So the number of bars that I need to block for, I don't really know. You kind of have to look through your system to kind of figure out how many bars is like the longest run before signals reverse direction. So whatever kind of longest run of short signals, and find what's the longest run of long signals, and that's how many bars you're going to have to block for, right? that longest run. When you look back through the historical data on your chart, you just need to find that longest run. So that's kind of one way to do this. But I'm going to go with a little more a different way here that's going to use a little less resources here. So I guess, yeah, let me kind of go back here. So when you're using the signal blocker, the more bars that you have to block for, the more calculations have to be done, right? So if you're blocking for 500 bars, then basically the signal blocker needs to look back 500 bars every single bar. So that requires more resources to do that. So I'm going to go take a alternate approach here, and let's see if I can do this with the toggle node. So this also might kind of address Thomas's question I was commenting to him about earlier before the workshop started. Yeah, so if I'm going to use a toggle node to block all of these, extra signals in the same direction. Let's see. So I'm just trying to figure out exactly how I need the inputs and the resets set up here. All right, bingo. Yeah, that does it. There you go. That was pretty straightforward. Okay, and I need one more. I need a look back node as well. Okay, I'll explain this logic here in just a moment here. So let me just get this set up first, because this logic here really isn't a part of the question here. So I'm just going to try and do it quickly here. This logic is just to get the audio alerts part of the question to work. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. That did it. Okay, great. All right. So, okay, yeah, before I move on, let me take a moment to kind of explain this logic here of how this toggle node, right? So you can see that this toggle node logic here is blocking all of those extra signals that were in the same direction, right? So basically right now, I have the signals that I want to use for the audio alerts, right? I've only got one signal per direction, right? And if I go back to this other logic template, remember the original one, right? If I go back to the other logic template, right, now I'm seeing all of the signals, right? So this is what, the trader wants to see on his chart. He wants to see all the signals, but when it comes to getting audio alerts, he only wants, let me switch it here. He only wants a sound. He only wants to hear a sound on the first signal. So the way this toggle node is working to block all the signals here is, right. So you can see what I'm getting out of the toggle node is I set the toggle node up. Let's take a look at this. I set the toggle node up so that when a short signal comes in, so remember I had a short signal coming in, right, on this bar, and let's stretch this out here, right? So on this bar, I had a short signal coming in, but then I used a look back node to displace the signal by one bar. Right, so in other words, I delayed this short signal coming in by one bar. So you can see that the toggle node, right, it goes from short to long, or it goes from red to green, one bar after the signal. And that is because of this look back node with a displacement of 1, right? So this is basically taking the signals coming out of the AND node, it's taking those signals, delays it by one bar, and then puts it into the toggle node. So having this 1 bar delay, right, allows the first signal to get through. Right. So if I look at this AND node, right, we can see the first signal gets through because the toggle node hasn't flipped yet. But then on the next bar, our toggle node, changes direction, right? It goes from short to long. And so the reason why there's no more short signals is because the toggle node, right, there's no short signals in the toggle node anymore. So with this AND node, right, so I have a second AND node because I'm taking the toggle node output, right, which has no short signals, and I'm taking the actual signals here. So let's name this here. So, all right. So we can see this AND node has all the signals coming out. So I'm taking all the signals, putting it into another AND node, and then combining it with the toggle node. And since the toggle node has no short signals, right, when you put it into an AND node, that is what is blocking, that's what's blocking all the other short signals that used to be here. Right? So there we go. So that's kind of the short version of how this logic works here. Let me just clean that up a little bit. All right, so anyways, back to the original question here. So let me clean this up a little bit, right? So I have one logic template for the sound alerts, and the other one, the original one for the trade signals here. So now what we need to do, let's close this out. So now we're going to have to add another BloodHound to the chart here. All right, so I'm going to go into the Shark Indicators folder and grab another BloodHound, put that down here. All right, and let's load today's workshop file in it. And so logic template I want is the one for the alerts, right? For the sound alerts. And let's see. I'm going to turn the racing stripes off because I don't really need the racing stripes on this second BloodHound. The only thing I want to get out of this second BloodHound are the sound files, right? And let's just go load some we'll just use NinjaTrader's sound files there. There we go. That's really it, right? So the second BloodHound, it's going to be running the logic template, right, for the sound alerts, right, which is only going to have one signal per direction, right? So only one short signal and only one long signal per direction. So there, let's add that on the chart. And so now, right, so now you see I have two BloodHounds on my chart. So let's see, one of these, let's see, no. So there we go. There. So that's how we do it. So, right, so this BloodHound down here, with just the single signal and all the other signals blocked, right? If we open that up, we'll see that's the one that should have the sound alerts enabled. So, and the other BloodHound up here on top, right? So what I'm doing is I'm double clicking on the plot. I'm double clicking on BloodHound's plot there, and that'll open up your indicator window. And this other one, yeah, I should have the sound alerts turned off. Yeah, make sure the sound alerts are turned off, and racing stripes are turned on. And there we go. And what we could do is when you're confident and you have everything done, you can just shrink that other BloodHound, the one that's playing the sound alerts, to shrink it way down until you don't see it on your chart anymore. And there we go. So that is it.